Okay, guys, so just a little bit of background. So I completely shot this entire video for the exemplar October 8th, and it got corrupted because it asked me to free up some space, and I cleared out a lot of things, and then it crashed on me. So I have to shoot this all over again at 9:30 at night. So by the time you wake up on tomorrow, this will be uploaded, and I'm going to try to see if I can push to do the next one. So please watch this video sometime tomorrow. All right, so backing up, this is the October the 8th, week 9 packet for October the 8th. And just to go through this real quick is we're going to do the same thing in the last video, which is I'll go ahead and let you know what the objective is, highlight a couple of key points, and then we'll do the do now and then work out the problems. Remember that some of the problems in this particular packet we have never seen before, so make sure you take good notes through this, okay? All right, so first things first, let's read at the top. This is determining the slope given an equation in various forms. And so when I say in various forms, the word various means in many forms. Okay, so in many different forms, you have to find the slope. Okay, so here's what we've done so far. This is A3A. Determine the slope of a line given a table of values. We did that in the exemplar October 7th. Find the slope off of a graph. Find the slope when you're given 2 points on a line. And now today on the 8th and the 9th is about these, okay? And find the slope when you have an equation written in various forms, including y equals mx plus b, and that one is slope-intercept. So highlight this one. And let's write down that this one, if it's in y equal mx plus b, that's the slope-intercept form. I'm going to move through this pretty quick, okay? If it's in ax plus by is equal to c, this is in standard form, okay? This one's in standard form. So anytime you see like a number with x plus or minus a number with y and then a number that's sitting all by itself on the right side of the equal sign, this one's in standard form. Okay, so write down standard form. And the last one is they can give you a line that is in point slope form, or use the point slope formula. And again, all of this has to do again with determining the slope and getting a line, and then all of this coming week we're going to graph, okay? So this, guys, is point slope formula. So let's back up one more time. So the whole point of Unit 3, as we jump deeper into it, is, of course, we talked about on October the 7th, it was rate of change, how to find the slope when we are given a graph, when we have 2 points, or if we're given a table, determine the slope. So another thing we have to do is determine the slope when we're given equations written in these 3 different forms. Whether they want it in y equals mx plus b, we get it to this form, or we start with something that's in standard form, we change it to slope-intercept form, or we are given a point and a slope, or we found our slope, use the point slope formula and change it back into slope-intercept form. So everything is about changing this and this into slope-intercept. Why? Because m is right here in the formula. You can figure out what your m is. All right, so let's go back over our do now really fast. So we have 2 points, 5 comma negative 11, negative 9 comma positive 17. So of course, this one right here is our x1. This is our y1. Here's our x2, and there's our y2. So if I calculate my m, remember the formula goes m is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, so very carefully, you should not need me to list it, but very carefully I'm going to just point, okay? So y2 is 17, so I'm going to put that right here, minus y1 is negative 11, so minus, and then put minus 11, divided by x2 is negative 9, put your subtraction symbol, and your x1 is 5. Okay, when I see that double minus, I'm going to change that to plus plus. So in the numerator, this is 28 divided by, change this to a plus, bump back the negative. I'm going to add those two, and that should be negative 14. Okay, now if we grab the calculator and we do 28 divided by negative 14, we get negative 2 is our slope. Okay, so m is equal to negative 2. So that's how, if they give you 2 points, use the slope formula very carefully, plug in, watch your signs, m is negative 2. So you may see a question like that on the star where they give you points, calculate m. Okay, now off of a graph, I'm going to show this to you really fast, 2 ways. So we could, of course, just grab these 2 points. So this one right here, you can't see it very well, but this is 3, 45. And then this one is 12 for your x, because again, this is the x-axis, the horizontal. This is the y. Okay, and so if you go to 12, comma, this is 180. So 12, comma, 180. And very carefully, if you read the problem, it says the graph shows how the amount of earned money is related to the number of hours that someone works. And they want, what is the rate of change? So remember, rate of change, they want slope. So we're trying to find our m. Okay, and we have a graph. So we use these 2 points. And then I'm also going to show you how to do it visually with the rise over run. So again, this is my x1, y1, x2, y2. And I'm going to calculate my m. So y2 is 180 minus y1 is 45 divided by x2 is 12 minus 3. Okay, so when you subtract 180 minus 45, you're going to get 135. That's in the numerator. And if you do 12 minus 3, it's going to be 9. Okay, if you do 135 divided by 9, so I'm going to take 135, hit the division symbol. It takes the last answer, which was this. Dividing it by 9, you get 15. So m is 15. Easy, easy, easy. That's our slope. Okay, so now the answer would be G, $15 per hour. Now, let me also show you the same problem. So again, the safe thing to do, if you could just get that formula down, the y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, choose 2 points off the line. Be very careful with getting the right coordinates and plug the numbers in respectively like you're supposed to. You'll get the right answer. Real easy. Okay, but now let's talk about how to do it visually. So what if we want to just do this super fast off of the graph? Well, here's what you do. Remember, m is rise over run. Rise over run. The rise is the change in your y. The run is the change delta x. That means change in x, change in y. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use a highlighter. And I'm telling myself, you know what? I want to sit back and go from here to here because slope is an address. So I want to rise up to here. And then I want to run across to here. But what you have to do to be very careful, guys, pay attention, is look at your scale. Not every jump is always 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So I noticed that right here, this is a 45. And this one is a 90. So a jump from here to here on the y-axis, the scale is by 45s. So again, from here to here is $45. If I jump from 90, this is 135. So that's another 45. So far I've gone 45 and then 45. 45 plus 45 is 90. And if I add another 45, right? So every jump is $45. 45 times 1, 2, 3 jumps. So if I do 45 times 3, you see, that's 135. That's the change in the y. Okay, that's also what we got over here at the top, 135. So to go from here to here, we're doing 135. Okay, that's my delta y. Okay, I'm going to move this over. Now let's look at our run. Okay, so let's look at our x. Well, when you notice on the x-axis, everything is by increments of 3. This is 3, 6, 9, 12 hours worked, right? So if I start here, one jump, 6 minus 3 is 3. Again, every jump is 3, 3, and 3. So if I go from here to here, this is 3. This is 3. This is 3 plus another 3 is 6. And then this to here is another 3. So I went 1, 2, 3 across for my run, and 3 times 3 is 9. So this is 9, and that's my delta x. So if I sit back and I do 135 divided by 9, delta y over delta x, okay, that's 135 over 9. You see, I still get 15. So whether you want to carefully look at your scale and say, hey, every jump is 45, 45, 45, this is 135. And then every jump for my run is 3, 6, 9, 135 over 9, 15. But of course, the safest thing to do is, of course, choose 2 points and use the formula. So I hope that makes sense visually. All right, so that's the do now. These were skills still in Unit 3, but giving you more practice. Remember that you had an entire homework over slope. So you should have done it. You would be very comfortable with it. If you still don't know it, it's because you have not put any time at all into learning what's going on, okay? All right, so now let's go back to this page. And again, I gave you the formula for slope. There's no reason not to have it or understand what it is because I've put it multiple times. And now let's talk about today. The objective for October the 8th was changing our standard form into slope-intercept. So I'm going to grab a sheet of paper. That's the dog. So we're changing standard form. Remember, standard form is the one that has, you know, a number with an X, a number with a Y, and C is a constant sitting over to the right of the equal sign. So you have to know this is the objective. How do you change a standard form? You know, convert it to a slope-intercept form. And when you change a standard form into slope-intercept, which again, slope-intercept is y equal mx plus b, the beauty of it is that once you change the standard form into slope-intercept, you now can comfortably see your m. And you also can get 1 point off of the line, which is your 0, comma b, which is your y-intercept. So let's, one more time, 0, comma b is our y-intercept. And what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is the point where the line crosses or intersects the y-axis. That's why it's called the y-intercept. It intersects across or goes across the y-axis. And I'll graph it and it'll make a lot of sense. M is our slope, which of course is the address, the rise over run of how we move from one point to another. So it should be very clear that the name of this form is right here in the actual equation, slope-intercept. Okay, so we have to know how to change a standard into a slope-intercept, because once we convert this guy into this guy, we can carefully see who our m is. We also can get 1 point off the line, and we could even graph this. All right, so let's go to the first example. So if we look at the October 8th, the first problem they gave us was, what is the slope, that's our m, of the line? What is the slope of the line that represents this? So here it is, and when you look at it, again, it looks just like standard form. There's a x, a y, a number, 5x minus 12y, and is equal to 24, a number. So this is in standard form. We're changing it to slope-intercept. So let me write it for you. So we have 5x minus 12y is equal to 24. So if you look at the notes on the guided practice, I wrote the steps out very carefully. So step 1 is to move the x term to the right side of the equal sign, change the sign. Again, move the x term to the right side of the equal sign. And how do you do that? You change the sign of the x term. So we go here and I say, okay, this is my left side, this is the right side. I want to move my x term to the right, and because that is a plus or a positive 5x, I have to do a minus 5x. And notice that I write it way over here because I'm not going to put a minus 5x under the 24 because they're not like terms, okay? So I'm going to just say, hey, me and you are different. I'm over here and you're over there. All right, so now this is 0. That's gone. So here's the part that's really important about rewriting. We're going to drop down the negative 12y on the left of the equal sign. Put our equal. Okay, but we're going to put our negative 5x in front of the 24 because, again, the x term should go in front of the constant. And if you go back to the notes, it says in step 2, once you've moved the x term to the right side, it says now there should be an x term in the front and a constant, which is the number, on the right side of the equal sign. So notice that when you rewrite, okay, please put the x term in the front, put the constant in the back. Now we're halfway there. We're almost to where it looks like this, but the problem is you want a 1y. You don't want any kind of coefficient or fraction in front of your y. So here we go. So we got negative 12y is equal to negative 5x plus 24. So to get rid of that negative 12, this is multiplication. Negative 12 times y, I'm going to divide by negative 12 everywhere to each term on this side. Do it here, here, and there. So negative 12 divided by negative 12 is positive 1. That's why I slash it out. I'm not saying that's 0. Okay, so just to be clear, if I do negative 12 divided by negative 12, you guys, positive 1. Okay, so that's a 1y. So I'm just going to write it down here, y equal, and that's what I want. I want my y by itself. And now a negative divided by a positive, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So this is just 5 over 12x. Now listen carefully. You cannot reduce this fraction. Why is that? Well, because what are the numbers that divide into 12? Well, I'll tell you. 2 can go in there. 3 goes in there. 4 divides in there. 6 divides in there. And 12. These are all the numbers I can divide into 12, guys, and leave no remainder. Okay? Because again, 12 divided by 2 is 6. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 12 divided by 6 is 2. You see that? 12 divided by 12 is 1. Okay? But if you think about 5, none of these numbers can go into 5. The only number that divides into 5 is just 5. So leave that fraction. It is simplified. Does that make sense? I hope so. Now here, 24 divided by negative 12. Well, a positive divided by a negative is a negative, so I'm going to put my negative. And what is 24 divided by 12? Well, the answer is 2. Why is that? Because 12 times 2 is 24. Okay, so now you have this. Again, this is the answer in slope-intercept form. And as soon as you have it in this form, what should happen in your mind is like, hey, where's my slope? That was the question. What is the slope? Well, the slope is that m that's in front of x. So guys, the answer is 5 over 12. And if we go back to that worksheet and you look at those answer choices, this is a star question, J, 5 over 12. Super duper duper easy. Okay, now let's talk about this one. We have not done this one, so let's do it now, okay? All right, so I'm going to get to turn this paper over real quick, zoom out. All right, let's read the question. I'm going to move pretty quick. So in this question it says, sorry about the dogs, what is the equation? What is the equation in, there it is, highlight it, circle it, mental note in your brain. What is the equation in what form? They want it in slope-intercept form. So again, you tell yourself, if you're at home studying, hey, boom, Miss Mosley put it right there at the top. That means if I get on the STAR test, because this is also going to be on your formula sheet, you're looking for your equation to be in y equal mx plus b, because that is slope-intercept form. So read the question again. What is the equation in this form, slope-intercept, of the line that passes through this point and that point? So what is the equation in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through negative 4, 2 and 12, 6? Well, here's the deal. The first thing we have to do, right, guys, is let's go get m. Because the one thing I know from October 7th and the homework is if I'm given 2 points, I better find what slope is, right? So let's do that. Let's write negative 4, 2. 12, comma 6. Let's put our x1, y1, x2, y2. x1, y1, x2, y2. And now we're going to calculate our m. So we got y2, formulas up at the top. See, there's no reason not to be where you understand the math. Everything I give you, it's here in this video. I have taught it. You have to take notes. You have to be engaged to be successful. So now I'm going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 is 6 minus y1 is 2. Divided by 12 is x2 minus negative 4. Be careful with those minuses, okay? So now if I look at this, 6 minus 2 is 4 over 12 plus 4 is 16. And now I ask myself, hey, can I simplify and reduce this fraction? Sure I can. What numbers go into 4? Well, 2 goes in there and 4 goes in there. Okay, what numbers go into 16? Well, what goes into 16? Well, 2 goes in there. 4 divides in there for no remainder. 8 can go in there. You see that? And 16. So what is the greatest factor? 4. So we're going to divide both of them by 4. So if I divide the top one by 4, 4 divided by 4 is 1. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So there's our m. Now we look at our answer choices and we say, okay, look at h and j. Well, in front of the x is a positive 4. No, I want a 1 over 4. Okay, so don't let them trick you. It's not those two. Because again, I want 1 over 4. And now, because there's no fraction here, let's change 1/4 into a decimal and see if we get 0.25. And yes, 1/4 is 0.25. So the answer is between what? F and G. Okay, so that's why I canceled out H and J. All right, so let me get to a sheet of paper. So that half the battle, 50% of our answers are gone because we have the right M. We look at our answer choice, process of elimination. So now let's go here. And again, I have not talked about this. So now we say to ourselves, hey, I have an M and I had 2 points, right? So you know what we should use, guys? We should use the point slope formula. Why? This also is in the name. If you have a point and a slope, so if you can take one of your points, the point can be x1 comma y1, and your slope is your m. You plug your m in and you plug in your point, you clean it up, and you can change it to this. So here we go. I'm going to do that for you. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, hey, let's use this one, negative 4 comma 2. So my x1, y1 is negative 4 comma 2. And my m was 1 over 4. So I'm going to use the point slope formula to help me figure out the equation of this line. Okay, here we go. So y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. All right, so very carefully, I cannot stress to you enough, highlight and circle this. You do not plug anything in for this y. You do not plug anything in for that x. Why? Because look at what's at the top. Hey, something is going to go for x1, that's negative 4. Something y1 is 2. M is this. There's nothing for y and x. So here we go. We're going to rewrite this. Y minus y1 is 2 equal m, substitute in 1/4, open parentheses, plug in nothing for x, minus x1 is negative 4. Minus, minus, plus, plus. Okay. So now carefully what you do is once you have your point and your slope plugged in, the second step, let's put that step 1. Step 1 is to plug in the x1 and y1 numbers and your m into the formula. Step 2 is to do the distributive property. Distributive property. Step 3 is going to move your constant over to this side after you do the distributive property. So move the constant right. Okay, write it down. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Ready? I'm going to do the distributive property. So 1/4 times x, 1/4 times positive 4. I do not do anything on this side. So I'm going to do y minus 2 equals 1/4 times x is 1/4 x. Now, you can use your calculator And so you're taking the 1/4, which is the 0.25, and you're timesing it by 4. There's 1. I like to do my scratch work. So I go to the side of my paper and I say, hey, 1/4 times 4. So 1/4 times 4 over 1. When I multiply across, do not cross multiply, multiply across. So 1 times 4 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. That's where the plus 1 comes from. And the second step after I did the distributive property, because again, I want to liberate and bring out the x and the number 4. So I'm here, move the constant to the right. Well, when I move something from one side to another, change the sign. So I'm going to add 2. Final answer. Now this will be, guys, in slope-intercept form. So y is equal to 1/4 x plus 3. Done. Okay, that's the equation in what? Slope-intercept form. So I go back to my answer choices. The answer is F as in frog. Pause the video if you need to. I'm going to move on. Okay. All right, so now let's go to the next one. Next page. Where is it? My guided practice. Right here. Okay, so again, bear with me that it got, I wrote on this already. So this one says, I'll just cover this up. What is the slope of the line represented in this form? Now notice the one thing about this one is this is not in standard form, okay? Remember that standard form, it has the AX or X and the Y is together and the numbers on that side. That's standard form. But this one, the X and Y are separated and the constant and the X are together. So this is already looking like it's in slope-intercept form. The problem is we don't have a 1y, we have a -4y. So I'm going to just walk you through this one because I already did it. So the first thing I noticed is I don't want the -4. This is multiplication. So I divided by -4 everywhere to each term. And then I had 1y is equal to 20 divided by -4 is -5. And then 3x over 4 is the same as -3/4 x. Okay, and then because I'm used to it being where the y, you guys, should be on the what? On the left side, and then equal sign, this should be on the right side. So all I did very carefully is I just said, hey, put y on the left, put my equal sign. I know that the mx needs to be in front of my constant, the number, the b, so I just wrote it in front. And then now that I have it in this form, look what I know. I know that the number in front of x, this fraction, is my slope or my address. Okay, so that means I go 3 down, 4 to the right. That's the address. That's my m. And then this -5, okay, because you keep the sign, that's what this number back here, that's the point, which is the y-intercept, 0, -5. All right. So now I'm going to graph this for you just because I want you to see that the next thing after we learn how to change all these forms is we have to graph. So I plot the point 0, -5. The address is to go 3 down, 4 to the right. So if I go 3 down, 1, 2, let's say 3, okay, that's -6, -7, -8. So I'm going down 3, and then from here, I'm going to go 4 to the right. So I go, okay, 1, 2, 3, and we'll extend this 4, okay, this is 4. So if I go down 3 and then 4 to the right, I'll be at 4, -8. That's another point on my line. And then carefully, I'll just take the edge of a piece of paper and then graph them as best as I can. So I'll put a line through here, and this is infinite, so I put arrows. Okay, because many points make up that line. Now listen to me very carefully. I think I said in the last video, but I'm going to say it again. If a line goes down to the right, it is decreasing. That means your slope is negative. So hence the fact that this one is -3/4. Okay. If a line is going up to the right, like this one, up to the right, then the slope is positive. Hence the fact the answer was +15. So just understand that when you see a line and you're doing a calculation and it's doing this, if you get a number that's negative and it's facing this way, increasing, you did something wrong. Okay. So I just want to be clear one more time that lines that go this way have positive slopes. Lines that go down to the right have negative slopes. Okay, let's go to, we're not going to do this one because it's the same answer as before. So now let's go to the independent practice. I'm going to move pretty quick. Okay, so for the independent practice, okay, they look like this. We did these. Okay, so for this one, what is the slope? What is the slope, right? So we're changing standard into slope-intercept. So again, the first step is, I'm going to rewrite this. We're going to move the x term. So we're going to add the 12x because we want to change the sign. That's gone. Rewrite this very carefully. So now we have negative 7y is equal to, write the x term in front of the constant. So this is a positive 12x plus 29. Last step is to divide negative 7 to every single term. Okay, now what's our final answer? Slope-intercept form. Y is equal to 12 over negative 7x. And then this is a negative, even though it's at the bottom, this is negative 29 over 7. So just know that this is the same thing. I just put my minus right there. So what is our slope? Our m is equal to, again, you could put 12 over negative 7, or you can put negative 12 over 7. The whole point is that the slope should be negative. And then what is our y-intercept? Our y-intercept is 0, negative 29 over 7. Okay, so there it is. And again, the whole point of going from standard into slope-intercept is because we can see the slope and get 1 point off the line. Next one. This is again in standard form because I have an x and a y on the same side. So I'm going to rewrite this. Okay, again, I want to move the x term to the right side. You have to change the sign. So let's add 10x, add 10x. That's gone. And now we're going to drop down. The negative 4y is equal to positive 10x plus 32. I want to get rid of that negative 4, so let's divide by negative 4 to each term. And now our final answer in slope-intercept form is 1y is equal to, now remember, you can reduce this. What number goes into 10 and into 4? Well, 2 does. So if I divide 10 by 2, I get a 5 over. I divide 4 by 2, I get a 2, but it's a negative 2x. And then negative 4 divides into 32. Use your calculator. It's negative 8. So what's the answer? The slope is negative 5 over 2. You don't need the x, guys. You don't need the x. You just want the number in front of x as your m. And then 0, negative 8. Make sure you keep the sign with that b term. This is the y-intercept. And there's your slope. Down 5, 2 to the right. Down 5, 2 to the right is the address. Okay, next one. Now this one's a little different because you don't have the x and y on the same side. They're separated, but you don't want that negative 30. Okay, you want y by itself. So I'll rewrite this. So they can give it to you in all ways. You just got to know that you want y by itself. So we're going to move the 30 to the other side, change the sign. Look how easy that was. See that? And it's already right there in the right order. So now we have 10y is equal to negative 2x plus 30. Get rid of the 10, divide by 10 everywhere. Okay. Final answer is y equals, remember you can reduce this, they're both divisible by 2, negative 1 over 5x plus 3. What is your slope? Well, your m is negative 1 over 5. Your y-intercept is 0, 3. Okay, so hopefully this is making sense, right? So I'm going to do one more. Okay, and I think the one I'm going to do is the last one. But here's the deal. I'm going to change up one of them because I want to show you that I have not taught this one with a fraction yet. So let's do these really quick. So let's subtract the 9x over to that side. So I'm just going to skip a step. 36y equals, I subtracted the 9x. You see that? This is gone. So 36y is equal to negative 9x plus 18 divided by 36, divided by 36, divided by 36. Final answer, y is equal to. Now, the number that goes into both of these is 9. Okay, because 9 times 4 is 36, and then 9 times 1 is 9. They're both divisible by 9. So if I divide this by 9, I get negative 1 over 4x. And then what number goes into both of those? Well, 9 goes into both of them, but 18 is the best number, right? So 18 divided by 18 is 1. 18 divides into 36 2 times. So this is 1/2. And just to be clear, if you get the calculator and you put 18 over 36, you know, there's no decimals though. See, you got to know how to make this a fraction. So you got to know your multiplications. So 1/2, and so what's the answer to this one? The m is negative 1 over 4, and 0, 1/2 is my y-intercept. Okay, so for this last one, we've already done it in class, but I'm gonna make one up, you guys, and I'm going to I want to show you when there's a fraction. Okay, so let me just modify this. So what I'm going to do is fraction. So let's make this negative 11x plus 1/3 y, okay, equals 27. Same steps. We're going to move the x term to this side. So add 11x, add 11x. Now remember, in this case, we don't have a whole number. See how all the time we used to have a 9, here we had a 10, here we had a negative 4. We've not had it with a fraction. So I'm going to write the next step is the same thing. Put 1/3 y equals, put the x term in the front, and then plus 27. Okay, so how do I get rid of this 1/3? Well, I multiply by the reciprocal. So that means I'm going to multiply this whole thing by a 3 over 1. And when I multiply by 3 over 1 over here, you guys, I have to multiply this side by a 3. I don't have to put it over 1 because 3 over 1 is 3. So if I multiply this side by 3, I got to multiply both of those guys by 3. It's the same thing. With the ones that you have whole numbers, what did we do? We divided everywhere by 36, 36, 36. We divided everywhere by 10, 10, 10. Well, if I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3, I got to also multiply both of those by 3. All right, so here's the answer. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1y. Now do the distributive property, and you're going to get 33x, and then at the calculator, let's do 27 times 3, 81 back here. So what's our slope? M is 33, and 0, 81 is the y-intercept. Let me do that one more time, just because so you can see this type, okay? Let's do it again. All right, so I'm making it up. So what if I have, I don't know, negative 5x plus 2/3 y is equal to 11. Yeah, same thing. Change the sign, move the x term to that side, plus 5x, plus 5x. So now you have 2/3 y is equal to 5x plus 11. And again, because I have a fraction, I have to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply this whole thing by not 2 over 3, but 3 over 2. And then we got to go over here and multiply everybody over here by 3 over 2. So remember, 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1y. Now do the distributive property, and I'm going to do my scratch work. So I'm doing 3 over 2 times 5x. So 3 over 2 times 5 over 1. You can put the x if you want. This becomes 15 over 2. So this is 15 over 2x. Scratch work again. 3 over 2 times 11. So 3 over 2 times 11 over 1. That's 33 over 2. That's it. What's our slope? M is equal to 15 halves, which is the same as 7.5. Okay, 0, 33 over 2 is our y-intercept. How easy is that? Okay. And just to be clear, I'll do one more and I'll stop this video. What if we have a negative? So let me do one more. So what if we have something like, I don't know, I'm gonna do a fraction. Oh, I'll get to that later. You can't have a fraction on the x. So, okay. So 7x minus 1, I don't know, 1/6 y equals 5. It's going to be kind of crazy, but let's do it. Minus 7x minus 7x. So now we have, next step, negative 1 over 6y equals negative 7x plus 5. Okay, there's that fraction. We want to get rid of the fraction, and it's also negative. So remember, I don't want to just multiply by 6 over 1, because if I multiply by 6 over 1, this is still going to keep the y negative. So guess what I have to multiply by? Negative 6 over 1. Okay, because a negative times a negative, I want a positive 1y. And what do I have to do to this side? Same thing. I got to multiply by a negative 6. Right there, and do the distributive property. So again, ready? Look very carefully. Negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6, divided by positive 6. 6 over 6 is 1y. So it just cancels out. Equal, do the distributive property. This is a negative 6 times a negative 7. This is a positive 42x. And then negative 6 times 5 is negative 30. So what is our m? Our m is equal to 42. And at 0, negative 30, this is our y-intercept. Okay, so that ends this video. The only thing that I did not talk about was there was an exit ticket, which I believe we did it in class. So you should already have these. I told you guys to work them out independently. So I'm going to end the video here, and I will see you guys tomorrow.